The brutal murder of Tatiana Zadorozhnyak, which Anton Gerashchenko spoke about in his telegram, exposed a huge problem with the lack of a law on weapons in Ukraine. There has been a lot of debate about this, and even more, there has been a lot of populism around this topic. But the case did not move anywhere. Ukrainians also continued to live in their homes, unarmed. And so, in 2013, in 2014, in 2022, it led to sad consequences. The name of these consequences is the inability to protect oneself. Your personal persona, your loved ones, friends, children. The army protects the city, the region, the country, the whole world, it is its duty. But these are common things. Two big concepts on the scale of one person. When does a murderer break into your home? Do you think a lot about the country? What is its geographical scale? You would protect yourself. This is much more relevant now. At such moments, you are more likely to be overwhelmed even by anger at the army because it did not have time to protect you. And only then, it begins to reach you, only in such moments, that you are obliged to protect your personal security on a personal level. Because help is seldom received on time when it is needed. As a rule, it comes late at best. The examples of this war show how help is simply not able to come, and the army is not able to protect you. Name at least one service, at least in one, even the richest country in the world, when the same service comes to you the moment you just press the button on your smartphone. Imagine the chain of all this bureaucratic red tape. You talk to the operator, 3 minutes, and you need to call him. And if the hands are tied? What if you are injured? Are you scared? Do your hands shake from stress? Trembling voice? Or, the head does not understand? And if all this together? And they need to come and understand what happened. And many different, this is not security, it's dog nonsense. And attention. This is in peacetime, when nothing prevents the services from performing their duties, except their laziness of course, and traffic jams. But there is one problem in war. You will not call the army by phone. These are not boys on call. On the tank, they will not break towards you with the speed of Elon Musk's rocket. Their task is to protect the people as a whole. In the broadest sense of the word. Not you, and not at this moment. Mariupol is an example of that. How long does the blockade last? Is anyone already flying to help the blocked? Do you need more examples or descriptions? Or have you already guessed that you are defenseless, like a baby in a huge field where there is no soul? And do not be fooled. The army is fighting far away from you, you have no personal protection right now. There are no tanks with a military regiment in the yard. You are given to yourself. You are always really given to yourself. This is how life itself is arranged. And if they try to convince you otherwise, it means that you are either fooled or told propaganda. Feel free to spit on these attempts to convince you. This is the most dangerous self-deception. Don't you believe? Ask any American about this, he will tell you that help is good and even a necessary phenomenon, but that's a failure, she rides at least eternity. And we need to act now. You only have a few seconds. Ukrainians in general have a problem with understanding what security is. The army is not a guarantee of your personal safety. This is a guarantee only for the security of the country or a piece of land. The army is motivated by worldly things, the protection of the state, the city, the people in general. But, not specifically, you. The army is not a point of personal protection. Have you noticed that the oligarchs hire bodyguards? Why are they doing this? After all, they are clearly not stupid. In addition, they value their carcass very expensively. After all, one favorite carcass, another so unique, no, and it requires, in their opinion, special protection. They do not hire an army, and tanks usually do not follow them. Because the army is not suitable for personal protection, it was not taught, and this is its task. She is fighting on the front line, away from your home. Shoots with heavy weapons, the same heavy weapons. That is why the people of Ukraine get Bucha, Gostomel, and other cities. Because he shifted the responsibility for protecting himself to someone. To the army, the president, from whose good speeches he weeps and cries. God, to whom he reads prayers, squeezing the symbol of faith, the cross. But when the occupier breaks into your house, for some reason no one is around, not the president with his good speeches, not the God you prayed to. But for some reason God does not throw the occupier into the air, away from you. And water for some reason does not turn into wine, as it was in the Bible. But for some reason the army is somewhere far away. And you need it so much now. But she is not there. There is no one. Only you and your killer. And he is armed, and you are not. What could be worse than that? The occupier pulls you by the hair with impunity, then you know what is happening. It makes no sense to describe. And as long as the people continue to be so wrong, there will be so many casualties among the civilian population. Without realizing that the best protection against a rapist, murderers is your neighbor with a weapon and your machine gun. You are a civilian. If a murderer breaks into your house, only you can stop him, no one else. Let's go back to the United States. As you know, in America, people have at home a whole arsenal of different weapons. The founding fathers of America, several hundred years ago, were already thinking about security for their people and adopted an amendment to the weapons that still exist. The Democratic Party of the United States is trying to tighten gun laws, but this is going very badly and is moving very hard. The Democratic Party can be understood. Unfortunately, there are a lot of irresponsible people in the United States. This category of citizens does not know how to handle weapons. And the age-old problem of the states is mass murder. This is exactly the original problem, and it shows that there is a problem. Some characters are too inadequate or mentally ill to touch weapons at all. The Democratic Party of America has been trying to correct this shortcoming for years. But it is not the guilt of weapons, as the Americans themselves say, but the need to change the culture inside the country, to change the style of behavior of the police with detainees. Make it more adequate, even human. If at all possible, in America. It has long been known that the police there often behave emotionally, uncontrollably, which should not be the case with people with weapons. They should be the standard of sanity and peace. But this is often not the case in the United States. Which, in turn, embitters the people, then revolts break out. There are also problems with the fight against crime. People are imprisoned, where they join gangs. How to re-educate a criminal in such conditions? The local system clearly lacks humanity. And yet, it is expensive to re-educate the criminal, or more precisely, to instill moral principles, the most reliable element of a responsible person. Reliable protection against inadequacy. And then the weapon will stop firing. So massive, for sure. There is no one to just pull the trigger. After all, a person has high moral qualities. There is nothing to stop the states from building a correctional system that resembles the Norwegian system. Although it is ungrateful to give some advice to the United States, let them understand how to live. Moreover, America has never liked being given advice. Their logic is as follows: because it has a great responsibility for democracy around the world, it is difficult for it to bear that responsibility. He can't keep up everywhere and deal with internal problems. That's why Americans get annoyed when they hear criticism that something works worse for them than in other countries. It is known that European countries, where the situation with crime is much better. But, unlike Americans, Europeans are often selfish and self-centered. This is also confirmed by history. History not only with the financing of the Putin regime, but also with other ancient and recent events. For the sake of selfishness and personal interests, or just some nonsense in their head, Europeans are willing to sacrifice anything. They have repeatedly proved this. It is easy to sacrifice even holidays to saints, the law. Recent example, the recent events on the border with the EU, when migrants were brutally sent back, in violation of the convention, so confirmation. The populists said it was a hybrid war against the European Union. And let it be so, but laws are laws, but the European Union has abandoned them in favor of populism. Which, for example, America can never afford. Non-compliance with the law, for whatever reason, this is a path to degradation and decay of their own institutions of law in their country. The formula is simple: do you want your country to have laws like the Swiss watch?